Yep. Yeah. So I've been a software tester my whole life, and at Microsoft, at Google, and then even the company I founded, the last one I worked at. So I'm just super focused on testing. I got introduced to AI when I worked on the search engine Bing at Microsoft, and also worked on search at Google. So I've really been testing AI systems kind of my whole life. So it's kind of manifest destiny. That's what I do.
Yeah, so what made you decide to work on testing AI mostly?
Yeah, so really the topic of the conference today was around testing AI systems and especially looking for bias in those systems. Bias is a huge problem because people don't see it. Like, it not just impacts humanity, it also can cloud people's view of artificial intelligence because they worry there's bias. Even if they don't know it's in there, they worry if there's bias in there. And it's starting to impact society. So, and there's also not a lot of engineering work, there's not a lot of formality around what is bias, how do you define it, how do you keep it out of your product, what is bias, how do you technically define bias. So I wanted to dig into that particularly and share that with people at the conference today.
Yeah, so you must have many experience about working on this. Could you share some lessons, like learnings from testing the relevance and bias? Some tips for people working on this?
Yeah, there's an interesting meta point that that you cannot build AI without bias. The actual training process is actually biasing the AI system. So I think there's a lot of misnomers out there where people are saying that they want to remove bias from AI. The reality is you just need to understand what bias is inherent in the system and make sure it's an ethical bias, make sure it's a useful bias and correct. That's the biggest problem. So a lot of what we talked about today was all the different ways bias can creep into your training your machine learning and AI algorithms, and how to identify it and how to make sure that it doesn't creep in. And then when it does creep in, because it always is in there, how do you identify it and how do you make sure it's the right bias? Some examples are, particularly with underrepresented things in your sample or training set. Like the AI just doesn't even see it enough to even know about it, to train and learn on those things. There's outliers and stuff like that. But the craziest thing is that, if I can share, the craziest learning is this: is that even if you had all of the world's information indexed, right, and everybody was included in your training set, every possible data point in the world, the problem is there's still a bias in the average. People don't realize this. So even if you take all the bias out of it and it's just the average of the data that you see in a purely random sample, you're going to inherently pick up biases for one subgroup over another subgroup just by the process of doing that. So yeah, bias is a real issue, and kind of walk through ways to detect it and prevent it entering into production systems.
Okay, thank you for sharing this with us, and I hope you found this helpful.